It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to talk about Homebox. Now, this is a home inventory management, asset management system. It's pretty cool and pretty awesome, and honestly, I don't think it has to be tied just to your home. I think this could be used very easily for a small business, maybe even a medium-sized business for asset management. We're going to go through how to get it installed and set up, and then we'll talk about the user interface and kind of some things about it. But it's really cool. It's still pretty early in development. They still claim it to be kind of a beta stage, but it looks pretty solid. And they've got a demo that you can try out if you don't want to go install it yourself. You can just kind of go check it out and see what's there. But I always like to install things myself and see how well it runs on my hardware, make sure everything's running right. And I know you guys do too. So we're going to get into the installation of Homebox right after this. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers and all of my patrons over at Patreon. Seriously, you guys make this so worth it for me to do these videos every week. I really truly enjoy it, and I just can't say thank you enough. If you're enjoying these videos, subscribe. Let YouTube know that I'm doing a good job by subscribing to the channel. Plus, you'll get notified when I have new videos coming out. And finally, if you're enjoying what I'm doing, give it a like. Just click on that thumbs up, and that way YouTube knows that you like it, and they'll pass it along to other people that might enjoy my content as well. I really appreciate it. Thank you again. Let's get started. So I've been asked a lot about inventory management systems through the comments, through my discuss.opensourceisawesome.com Rocket Chats instance, through Telegram, through email, and I've kind of put it off because I wanted to find several different options to be able to cover over a few different weeks for you guys so that you would have some things to look through and kind of make up your own mind about what fits for you, because there's actually several really good open source inventory management systems out there. And it really just depends on your use case as to what you're going to need or want. So I'm going to be talking about Homebox today, but in the future we're going to cover snipe-it, or snipe-it, I believe is how you're supposed to say it. And then there's one called Binner that looks really cool, and I've got a couple of others lined up that I want to check out as well. So over the next few weeks, and they won't be consecutive or anything, I'll be covering those so that you guys can check them out and see what you think, and you can go out and get the one that you like the best, or maybe you want to run a couple of them. Maybe you want one for home and one for your business. Who knows, right? There's all kinds of really great opportunities and aspects to inventory and asset management. So today we're going to cover Homebox, and we're getting into the installation right now. So as you come to the Homebox page, if you actually just click on the quick start, you'll get taken to this page, which has some Docker information, and it's actually as simple as this Docker command right here to get it up and running right away. Now I'll say, if you want to do a few extra things, he's got some other environment variables that you can use to configure the system when you run the Docker compose command. You can change the port that it runs on. So if you've paid attention to any of my videos, you know that I tell you when you set up the port mapping, never change the right side. Well, in this case, he's actually giving you the ability to change the right side port if you want to. I don't know why you would want to. It runs inside of a container. It's not going to have any port, configuration issues. So I would leave it as it is, but just know you do have that capability for the first time, I think, since I've talked to you guys. You've got the option to change the right side port in the port mapping if you've just really been wanting to do it. If you're the kid that always has to push the button because it's there, then this is your shot. So this one that says HBox options allow registration. So it's defaulted to true. You don't have to set this anywhere and set it to true. It's defaulted to true. If you set it to false, then people cannot register for your instance. That's probably what I want, but I tried this earlier and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't misunderstanding something, so I turned it off before I had even created my admin user, and yeah, there's no registration. So if you haven't set up your first user and you've already turned this off, you don't have a way to set up your first user. So initially you want to run it with this enabled, set up your initial user, then go back and rerun the Docker compose command with this in there and just set it to false. Just add a line right under this one, make sure you space it correctly. Remember, YAML is space dependent. But get it set up and then set it equals false, and then just run docker compose up-d again, and registration will be gone from the login screen and nobody can register after that. So there's a whole bunch of these. If you want a bigger upload size than 10 megabytes, you can set that here, but 10 megabytes is a lot. So even if you had a spreadsheet that you're importing, a 10 megabyte spreadsheet is a really, really big spreadsheet. I mean, massively huge spreadsheet. Now, he tells you what you can import and what you can't import. He's got a really great document that shows you what you can and can't do with imports. So definitely check that out, and I'll kind of point it out as we go through the video as well. But yeah, a few things for you to kind of check out and understand about what you're using and what you're setting up here. So again, changing the port numbers, just all kinds of different things. If you want to set this to a different schema, you can, but we're going to use a reverse proxy so we can give this thing a domain name and everything like that. So let's get into the install, because I'm sure you're tired of hearing me yakking, but I thought it was valuable to kind of point out some of this information down here. So I'm just going to highlight this as is. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go over here and open up my terminal. So I'm already logged into my server. If you're not logged into your server, if you're not working on the server you want to use, then make sure you SSH to that server first. But I've already done that, so I'm SSH'd in. And now I'm going to do a simple command of mkdir-p. I'm going to type in docker and then /homebox. What this command does is it says make the directory docker/homebox. And what it tells us is if we don't even have the Docker directory yet, it will create it. But if we already have a directory called Docker, it'll just leave it. And then it'll say, okay, do you have a directory named Homebox? No. Okay, let me create that inside of your Docker directory. If you don't have either one of these, it creates them both. So it's a really nice command. It makes it very easy. So we're going to hit enter. Now I'm going to cd into that Homebox directory that we just created. And I'll do an ls. You can see that it's empty. So I'm going to do nano docker-compose, we want to make sure we spell that right, .yml, just like this. So nano docker-compose.yml. That's going to open up our nano editor. Now you can right click and do paste. You can also do Control Shift and V like Victor, and that will paste. So it just depends on how you want to kind of do this, but you can 100% do it by using a right click if you want to. Now I've got my terminal really big because people on the phones, it's hard to see sometimes what I'm doing. So I want to make sure that you can see what's happening. All right, we've got a version 3.4 Docker Compose file. We've got our services listed in its Homebox. Now this is going to use the image from GitHub container repo, I think is what this stands for. I can't remember. And then it's .io, and it's going to pull this guy's image and its Homebox and its latest. So it's going to pull the latest version that's available at the time when you run it. The container name is going to be Homebox. Restart as always. So basically, if your server restarts, Homebox will restart with it. What I like to do is I like to do unless stopped. That just, I don't know. It just makes me feel better that I can stop it and it's not going to restart on its own. I'll have to tell it to restart because then I can go do maintenance or do something like that and I don't have to worry about it restarting. So if I stop it for some reason and then I shut down my server and reboot it, it doesn't just come back up on its own. It'll come back up if I go tell it. But if it's running and I have a power outage and my server reboots, it will come back up. So I really like unless stopped. It's a really good option. So here's your environment. HBox log level is info. I'm sure you could change this to debug and things like that, but for now we're going to leave it on info. HBox log format is text. That's fine. And then again, the upload size max is 10. So we're just going to leave that at 10. I think 10 megabytes is massive. I don't think we need to have anything bigger than that. If you're finding for some reason that you are having issues, you might come back and change this and then restart the Docker container. As we move down, he's got one volume set up, which is Homebox data. And I want to change this to /homebox data, which means in the directory where this Docker Compose file lives, create this folder and then map that to the data folder inside of the container. So everything for Homebox stays inside of my Docker Homebox folder, and it's easy for me to back this up, which I really love. So this is the reason I put the / up here. For ports, he's mapping 3100 on the host to 7745 inside of the Homebox container. Now, if your host is already using port 3100 for something else, you should change this left side. Okay, now remember, I always say don't change the right side unless you know what you're doing. Just remember, he gave you an option to create an environment variable up here and change that port if you want to. But I would say leave it at 7745 unless you just have a really, really good reason why you would want to change this. 3100 is not in use on my server, so I'm going to leave it. But if you didn't want to leave it, you could say, oh, you know what, 3106 isn't in use. You can change it to that. It's fine. Completely up to you how you do this. So I'm going to leave it at 3100. He's got some volumes here where he's just naming the volumes, and he says Homebox data and driver local. Everything there should be okay. We're going to do Control O to save, and then Control X to exit nano. We're just going to clear this out. And we're going to run this Homebox install very quickly with docker-compose up-d and then 2 ampersands docker-compose logs-f. So this is 2 commands connected by these ampersand signs. The first command is docker-compose up-d. What this command says is run this thing, go pull down the image and get it started, and then run it in the background for me as a daemon. That's what the -d is for. So run it in the background so that even when I leave the terminal and kill my SSH session, the application continues to run. The second command says, once you've done that, show me the logs and let me see them live. The -f says, just let me see those things live as they're coming in, and when I'm done, I'll hit Control-C to get out of the logs. So I like to do that because I can see if I get any errors or issues, things like that. So we're going to hit Go. It's going to go out, pull down this stuff. It's very quick. It doesn't have a lot to it, and it's done. So now it's going to start showing me the logs as it starts up. There's not a lot for it to do, really. It's pretty much done. It says starting the HTTP server on 7745. Now remember, we want to use the host port, which is 3100. So we're going to go back to our Firefox window here. We'll open up a new tab. And first we're going to go by IP address. So I'm going to go to the IP address of my host machine. And I'm going to put in a colon. 3100 is the port. And we should get Homebox. And you'll see we have Homebox login screen. And here's the register button. So if I go and set that flag, this register button goes away and I don't have a way to create a user. So first I'm going to do register. I'm going to fill out the information here. So I'm going to use my email that I use for everything. And my username, or my name, I'm going to put Brian, that's fine. And my password. Let's create a nice strong password for us to use here. And he tells us it's pretty good. All right, cool. So I'm going to say register. Now, if you got here and you didn't mean to, you can click this button to go back to the login page. But if you meant to get here, you want to click register first. I'm going to tell it don't save. It's fine right now. So we're going to go here. It's already got our email filled in. He just wants us to verify that we do actually know the password we typed in. And I'm going to hit login. And again, I'm just going to tell it don't save for now. So we're logged in. All right. So here's the top of the board. Here's everything. Of course, not much here, but pretty nice actually. Kind of a nice layout. You got some side panel stuff here, and he's building it out as he goes. He's got a good roadmap set up. He's got a lot of people that have already put in requests for enhancements, so that's pretty awesome. I'm sure he could use some help. So if you're a Go developer on the back end, or if you're a developer for Vue.js on the front end, you may could provide some help to him as well and enhance the project. Just to throw that out there too. All right, so I like this. This is set up. We're set. But let's go back and let's disable registration because I don't want somebody to be able to get on my instance. So I'm going to go and I'm going to log out right here, sign out. Okay, you see the registration button still there. So let's bring up our terminal again and we can close out of our logs and let's just do docker. In fact, we'll just go make the change. Let's do nano docker compose.yaml. We're going to go down here and we're going to add that environment variable that he told us about. So let's go back to this page here and find it. And it's right here, allow registration. So we're just going to copy that and we're going to go back to our terminal and I'm going to make sure I don't hit that tab. I'm going to hit Control-Shift-V this time to paste. I'm going to put equals false, Control-O to save. Just make sure I didn't make a mistake. Let me check some things and then we'll do Control-X to exit. And now we're going to do docker-compose up-d again. And that's basically going to bring it down and bring it back up. So it's going to kind of very quick. This is a very, very simple program. It's great. I'm going to just go back over here, go back to my tab. I'm just going to refresh. And if you look, no more registration button. So registration is disabled. That's awesome. We don't have to worry about anybody else getting on our system. Let's make sure we can still log in. And we'll set our password right there, just like we had earlier, and we're logged in. So our system knows who we are. I can tell this never, it's fine. All right, so we're done with the install. Like literally finished, you are up and running. If you don't want to watch any more of this video, if you just want to go play around and tinker and see what you can figure out, great. Otherwise, stick with me because we're going to get into the user interface and the web UI. First, instead of using my IP, I actually want to create a reverse proxy so that I can access this thing outside of my home network. I can get to it with a normal domain name URL. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, I use a program called Nginx Proxy Manager. So when I open it up, I log into it, and it's only available on my local network. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create a new proxy, and I will zoom this up so you guys can see what I'm doing. So first thing I want to do is give it a name. Now, I own the domain routemehome.org. I have a wildcard entry set as *.routemehome.org. And that points to my home public IP address. So when I make any request to .routemehome.org, so whatever .routemehome.org, it comes to my home IP address. My firewall says, oh, I see a request on either port 80 or port 443. I'm going to forward that right over to your Nginx Proxy Manager server. Nginx Proxy Manager gets that request and says, okay, let me see if I have one of those things listed here for your entries. If it's whatever.routemehome.org and it goes, I don't see it, it just gives you a congratulations page. That's it. You can't go anywhere else. But if it sees it, it says, oh, I see what you put there. Let me send you to the right place to get to your application. So I'm going to call this homebox.routemehome.org. I'm going to hit tab so it turns into this little gray chip. I'm just going to leave that on HTTPS. I'm going to go to 192.168.10.42. You would want to put in the IP address of your host. This is the IP address of my host where it's running. And it's running on port 3100. I'm going to put in block common exploits, allow WebSockets. You can do cache assets, and this is smart if you're using something like WordPress or something that's got more static content that you're going to be loading over and over and over. But in this case, it's content that's changing a lot of times because your assets are changing, your inventory is getting updated. So I'd say do it this way, up to you. I'm just going to hit save. I'm going to go down here to homebox.routemehome.org, and I'm just going to click on it here in the interface, and it'll open up a new tab and make sure that I can get to it, which I did. That's awesome. I'm going to close that tab. I'm going to come right back in here, and on the right end, I'm going to click on the three dots. I'm going to click on Edit. And then right here, I'm going to jump over to the SSL tab up here at the top. I'm going to hit Request a new SSL certificate right here under SSL. I'm going to say Force SSL, HTTP2 support. Make sure my email is correct. And then I'm going to hit I agree to the Let's Encrypt Terms of Service. I'm going to hit Save. That's going to spin for a second, but if this little modal, if this pop-up box goes away without any errors, we're set. It's going to be Let's Encrypt encrypted from now on. If I get an error, I just need to see what happened and go and try to fix it. So I'm going to click on this again. You can see right here it says Let's Encrypt now. I'm going to click on it. And now we're attaching to this thing with an actual SSL certificate. We've got our little lock icon, so I can log back in and put in my password here. There we go. And now I can tell it, yeah, you can save that if you want to, but I don't. It's fine. All right, so we've got this up and running. We're accessing it. We can access it over the internet. We can access it however we want. And we've got it with HTTPS encryption, which is awesome. So we're ready to get into the user interface and actually start using the software. Now, I'll say, if you've not used inventory software before and you've got a bunch of inventory, you might already have a spreadsheet set up. So he does have the ability to import data so that you don't have to worry about kind of putting it in all by hand. So you've got this option to say import, and you see right here it pops up. He wants you to have a CSV file. It's got to have a certain set of headers and things like that, and columns. They have to be in a certain order, but you can get that stuff off of his documentation over here. Over here somewhere. There we go. So he talks right here about importing data. So if you click, it'll take you to the importing data page. And right here he's got a list. And you can see it scrolls to the right, so don't forget about that. But all these columns, you can go and actually create a spreadsheet and put the information you have. If you don't have information for that item, don't put it in that column. Just leave that column blank for that row. But fill out your rows, get everything in there, and then import it. Maybe you already have this, you just need to rearrange your spreadsheet, and then save it as a CSV and import it. That's a fast way to get a bunch of data into a system like this. It makes it really nice. He's got a CSV reference right here. He tells you what's the column name, what's the type, so what's it expecting for values and data, and then he gives you a nice description. I mean, this is a really well laid out set of instructions and tutorials on how to use this software. So it's really great. I like this a ton. It is really awesome the way that he set this up. So now we're in here, we've got import, we can do inventory actions. You've got all kinds of cool tools here. You can run reports, which is pretty great. So being able to do reports, especially in a small business, is very important. If we go over here to home, you can see kind of your starting dashboard. And right here, you've got different locations in the house. So this could be your business, this could be your home. Now it's called Homebox, but again, I think this could work for a small business. You've got different labels down here, so it kind of gives you a starting place, and then you can go in and kind of modify what you want out of this. briefly turned on the light color theme. So be patient because we're going to go to Profile. We're going to go to User Profile, and here you can edit your profile. But down here, he's got all of his different themes, which I really like these themes. So if you pick a theme that you like, you can click on it. You can see how it changes. If I pick the blue here, you see what happens. So you can kind of get a theme and a color set that you're enjoying. He's got some different looks and different feels to him as well. This one gives you kind of rounded buttons, which is really nice. So I'm going to go back to this. Very cool. I like this color. It's pretty great. But there you go. Now up here you can do group settings and user profile. So you can create groups and groups of people and users. So this does have a lot of really kind of cool capability. Now, you can generate an invite link. You can change the password. All kinds of really cool power here. You can also delete an account. So very, very useful, but also be careful about this. He's got the button red for a reason, so just realize that's a bad button. If you click it, you could do something you didn't mean to. As we continue, we've got search. So you can search for items that are in the system. Now I don't have anything in here yet, but you can see what's going on there. Here's the locations that we saw a while ago, and if you want to add new locations, you could say create and then do location. So I have, I don't know, I have so many different things in my house. Let's just talk about one of them. So we have the outside office. There's an inside office and an outside office. So I'll put it this way, and then I can say the back office area. And if there's a parent location, you can pick one. So I could make office the parent location and then create an inside office as well. So I can do that. You can see here what I get. So it kind of creates this new office, and it says detail view, so I can turn off detail view if I want to. And then I can create another one. So let's go create inside office as well. Inside office, office in the house. And in fact, let's just call this, because I have two, have Brian's office. And we will go down here and make that office. And then we'll go add one more because my wife has an office too. So B's office. And office / warehouse is where she works basically in our house. But yeah, we'll go down and we'll add that under office. So now we've got that. So if we go click on our locations, you can see that we've got this tree of locations that gets built out. I really kind of like how that works. That's pretty awesome. And he's got this button up here to collapse all the trees. So if you really start building this out into a lot of stuff, you can collapse it all at once, which is pretty great. But there you go. We can see different locations around the house. And then if you click on them, you come back to those detail areas and you can see what's going on. So you can also create labels. So let's go look at the labels he's got. So we go back to home. He's got these labels here at the bottom. He's got appliances, electronics, general, IoT, important, and servers. So that's a lot of the stuff that I need, but it's not everything. So I could also put something just very simple like furniture, if I spell it right. And you can give it a description if you want to, but furniture is pretty clear for me. And I can say create. And now I've created furniture. I can go here and I can create another one. So you can just kind of go crazy with the different things that you may want or may want to use. But instead of just servers, you could say laptops, lighting. It just depends on what you have and what you're trying to keep your inventory up to date with. So very simple, very basic, but very cool. So let's go add some actual items here. So I did just do a screen refresh. I grabbed my new labels. Let's see if we go to Office, it shows that we've got other places under the Office, which is good. So let's go back and let's do a create again. Let's do create an item or asset. Let's see. Yeah, now we've got the new places, so that's good. There's my Office. We're going to put role top desk, and we're going to put that as furniture. Oh, it didn't type to narrow it down. Let's do it. Yeah, right here, furniture. There we go. So you can put more than one label, and then we're just going to do, we've got create and we've got create and add another, so it's kind of up to you, but I'm just going to do create. And then now we've got a whole bunch of other details. So that is not the only detail that you can put in for that. So you've got the details, then you've got this log. So I can add an image to the log, I guess. Total entries, total cost. Oh, monthly average. Yeah, so if you have something that's using up, money and things like that, you can track that as well. And then you've got the ability to edit the details. So kind of up to you how you do this, but I think the edit thing is the next thing you want to do for most of these things. This is why I say this could get really tedious doing one thing at a time. Having a spreadsheet, if you've already got one like I do, it would be really useful to reorder your columns, make sure you've got the right stuff there, and then upload that thing. Make a copy of the one you're working with already, and then do that. Don't mess with the one you've already got. When you come into the edit, one of the things to take note of is that you have this advanced tick, and it's not on. This is off. So make sure you turn that on. So let me change the view just a little bit here. Let me change this theme. I'm not going to change it to a bright theme, but maybe a theme that will have a better tick mark box. Let's see, the blue looks nice. We can probably use that. How about this one? What's this? We'll go to the desk, and if we go to edit, so you notice this is turned off. I just wanted to make that a little bit easier to see, so I changed the theme for you. When I turn that on, I get a lot of other information here. So now we've got the parent item. So if this has a parent item, we can actually show that. You get all the detail you've already put in, but then you've got serial number, model number, you've got manufacturer, you've got notes and information. Then you've got insured, archived, okay, so you can go and set that up. Asset ID is important, make sure that's a unique field. You've got custom fields you can add, so we'll come back to that. But then you've got attachments, so you can drag and drop files here. Maybe you've got images of the labels or the stickers or things on it. That's really important. You've got purchase details that you can fill in, so how much did it cost? You know, who did you purchase it from? How much did it cost? When did you purchase it? You've got warranty details. Is it under warranty? So you can check the box for lifetime warranty, or you can put the date in for a warranty. You can put warranty notes just for like who do you call, those kind of things. Very useful. And then you've got details if you sell it. Eventually, if you sell it, you want to put that in. Who do you sell it to and what date? Because that could come up. If you've ever watched a cop show, you know that they come looking for property and you want to be able to tell them, no, I sold it to Bob, and Bob's the guy you need to look for, right? So as we go down, as we come back, we've got the custom fields here. So you can add a custom field. And you're going to get a field name, and then it's going to have a value that you're assigning to that. So maybe you want this to be something like, you know, lent out. And this could be, I think it only takes strings right now, but it could be yes, no, right? So yes. And then you can do add lent to JSON and add and lent on. And we can put in a date. So let's just put in February. And I know other parts of the world do this different, but I'm in the US, so forgive me. And then if we need to get Jason's phone number for some reason, we can. But we can say this is when we lent it out, and Jason's going to return it to us. But we've got that record now, right? So Jason borrowed my roll top desk. That's awesome. Once I've made any changes I want to keep, I just hit save, and it saves those things. And now I've got my custom fields as well. So it's really a nice system. I think it's just absolutely a great starter system. And again, if it's just for your home, very straightforward, easy to use. You can do a lot with those very simple and easy to use custom fields. You can add labels. Again, stacking and tracking different locations is pretty awesome. I like that it has tree capability. That's really cool. Again, for a small business, maybe even up to a kind of a medium-sized business, this could be a really great tool. I just think this was such a cool thing. I really enjoyed using it and starting it, so I wanted to share it with you guys. But there you go. That's Homebox. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along on the journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.